Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Client Spotlight series. I'm here with Jamie today and so excited to talk about her time over the last 6 months in the Alchemical Business Intensive. And Jamie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Okay, cool, Sam. Hi, everybody. I am so glad to be here. I'm so glad to speak to Sam and her audience and all of you. And my name is Jamie Ridler, and I am a coach. I am a founder and director of Jamie Ridler Studios, which is an online hub that helps support people bring their creativity to life. So whether that's somebody who is emerging, recovering, returning to their creativity, someone who is established or aspiring to create great things with their creativity, I have content coaching and classes for them. And I've been doing this, Sam, I still can't believe it. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And so this has been a great journey for me. I've had the opportunity to speak with and support literally thousands of people at all stages of their creative development. And my main focus is always to help them find their courage and to help them find their confidence so that they can finally just be the artist that they've always longed to be and create the work that I know that only they can bring into the world. And this is such an important mission to me because also I don't want the world to miss out. I don't want the world to miss out on all the goodness that we have to share. And it's not just about art. It's about the fact that once we realize that we can create something, we start to understand that we can create anything. And so when we create a painting, suddenly we're going, oh, maybe I can create some new possibilities in my life. Or we create a dinner party and suddenly we think maybe we can create a catering company. So everything we create sort of exponentially creates possibilities for individuals and also for the world. And this past year, I have taken all of that, like my whole life of being an artist and a writer. I've got a background in theater and dance and all my coaching experience and all those conversations. And I turned them into one signature program, which is really what I brought to ABI in this program called Devotion, which is 3 months of artistic immersion, 3 months of embodying the artist you know that you are meant to be, 3 months of building a body of work, 3 months filled with strategies and principles that will last a lifetime for an artist. And so that's who I am, that's what I do, and that's why I landed here.
I love that so much. And like my mom went to art school and like both of my parents were graphic designers before graphic design involved the computer. So I grew up in a really creative, artistic household. So supporting you has been so meaningful to me. So I love it. Let's create some context. Where were you before you joined the Alchemical Business Intensive? What were you feeling? What were you struggling with?
Oh yeah, the first thing that just one word comes through, which is exhausted. I really have been doing this work for a long time and I've done it primarily by myself with some beautiful support from my sister Shannon. I always have to give her some kudos, but really I edited my podcast, I made my blog, I figured out how to do audio, like I did everything. And so I had reached the limit of what I could do by myself. And Sam, I was at such a turning point because I was making a decision about whether I wanted to stay small, like just do beautiful small work, like be a local person doing good work and make a decent living and relieve some of the pressure on me, or whether I wanted to go big. And honestly, it really wasn't up to me. It was up to the vision in my heart is like, no, like this is important and you need to be able to reach more people. And that meant I needed to learn how to be different. Something had to it had to be alchemy, right? Something had to transform inside of me in order for me to do that level of this work. And so that's where I was, exhausted and in a place where I had no idea how to proceed.
That's so real. I know a lot of people resonate with that. And I remember one of our first conversations, you saying that you wanted your work to be really well known in the art community. And because you knew that what was, channeled through you into this program would help so many people. And there was this element of who am I to do that? Who am I to feel that? And I know a lot of people do that, even though their work is so profound. There's this human, this really vulnerable, soft human that's like, but me, I'm supposed to be the one that is like shepherding this into the world, and this work is supposed to get big. So
Yeah. And
you
Sam,
remember
when you say
that?
that, like I am a vulnerable, soft human being, like I am a highly sensitive person. And so everything I've done has really taken honestly, one of the gifts of ABI has been the constant reassurance that energy management and having tools for taking care of my system. And I mean, this is just me practicing what I preach, right? Like I tell my artists, like they can't create unless they're well tended. But I hadn't really, for myself, understood that also meant my nervous system. And so there was a big part of me that's like, I don't want this to get bigger. That means louder. That means more. And my whole system would go, And so, yeah, that was tender and believing that not only that I could step up and do that, which I think I have confidence in, that part I have confidence in, but can I do that without burning myself out? Can I do that in a way that doesn't take over my life? Like I'm sort of used to thinking as a theater person, I'm kind of used to thinking you just like, you give it all. And at the end you are spent, you're like, I left it all on the stage, but you can't do that in a business 365 days of the year. That's not sustainable. And coming to grips with reality has been a big part of my transformation in this program.
Well, I one of the things you said is like, I finally have a human schedule.
Oh my, that was
what a grip on reality.
This was honestly the most significant thing for me, Sam, because we started ABI in October. I had my best month ever in December. It was the first time I reached a 5-figure month. I was like, what? This is amazing. And then after that, so that was a little harried, I'll be honest. Like my next level goal is to be able to create that kind of impact without that kind of intensity. But the same potency, which is a word I got from you, potency. But then after that, throughout all of winter, all of ABI, all I'm teaching, these programs I love, I'm making a difference in people's lives. I felt like a person. I got sleep. I remembered I had a husband. I cuddled with my cats. I made art myself. And I thought, oh, this is possible. This is completely possible. And so, yeah, I'll say that to other people out there too, because I know when you're building a business, like we do that. We give everything we have. We don't sleep. We're like, don't worry, honey, in 1 year I'll be back. And you never are. But now I am. Now I am. And so that is honestly the greatest gift that this program has given me, is not only the belief, but the embodied experience. Like my body knows that it's possible because I did it. And so if I could do it once, this is one of my favorite mantras. If I did it once, I can do it again. And so that's the plan from here on in. You heard it here first.
You can do it again easier and nourishing yourself and take those lessons and just make it better. So
I love that, Sam. Even now, like you're like expanding the possibilities for me. Thank you so much. I love that.
I'm curious, did you have any reluctance to joining the program if you're thinking back to October?
I would say first of all, Sam, I had known you for about 5 minutes when I signed up. Like really, yeah. I was just like, oh, there's something about this. And in part what it was, I take all the classes. I'm a lifelong learner. So I have taken lots of business classes and I've taken programs. And one of the places I often get stuck, like everyone, I want the 7 steps to success. And like, I want it. But then as soon as I'm in that, I'm like, no, I don't. I want my 7 steps to success. I don't want right. And so what I saw that you were doing that was so different was like, it felt like from the outside, like it felt like, oh, there's going to be this beautiful balance of practical Virgo-ness, that I can lean into. And there's this magical piece. And there's this structure, but there's freedom. This is part of my major values. Like this is my whole idea behind a studio, is like, you've got enough structure to give you momentum, enough structure to hold you. and then enough freedom for you to do what you want to do in your way. And so that's what pulled me in. And then the only thing that sort of made me pause, I have to admit, is it was the biggest investment I had ever made in anything. Like
Yeah.
I had to like do the whole, have the conversation, look at my finances and really decide. And of course, because I'd also known you for like a minute. And then you and I, we had a one-on-one, and it was just very like, you just honed into the core of things so quickly. And I was like, nope, this is going to be transformational. This is going to make a difference. And as soon as I got into ABI, I was like, oh, this is worth it 1,000 times over. Like, we did an intensive beginning where we set a whole plan and really connected to each other as well as ourselves and our vision. That was amazing. We have copywriting support. I was like, what? This is like this, like the value add of that was insane. Like I just, was thinking, holy cow, if I was hiring somebody to give that close an eye to my work, I'd be paying lots of money for that too. Like I'd really be investing in that. And so once I decided yes, it was never a concern for me again. Like once we were there and started, I was like, that this is one of the best investments I'd made in myself and in my business.
Mm. That's actually something that I haven't even put on the sales page yet. And everyone like underlines it so much as Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth, we love you. But like copywriter on my team who works on the agency side of my business, which includes supporting 7-figure business owners. So writes copy for 7-figure online businesses. Like she's in there, she's in our Slack channel, and you can just submit any copy, whether that's sales page copy, website copy, Instagram posts, and have her review it. And like, she's not writing it for you. And that's actually a better thing, because over the course of 5 months, like just imagine how much you can transform as a communicator and an enchantress from the beginning to the end with continual ongoing feedback on how to make things better and more engaging and more compelling. So
there was really something about that, about me having to do the work, because both of you would give feedback and I'd be like, oh, this part's really crunchy. Like, I don't want to work through this, or like, this is really hard. But because I had the support and because we had the structure, I worked through it. And I ended up with a sales page that I feel is like just so true to me and to the program. And I started to really think about, I know one of the things you're really saying about marketing is it can be a work of art. And and I was thinking about it today. I was like, I feel like it's like the beginning of a story. It's like the siren song that invites you to the fire. And then, and I felt like that when I was writing it. And yeah, that was an enormous, enormous benefit just in me clarifying my message, my people, and what matters to them and how to do that. I know I'll be better at it from now on.
So you said that you join a lot of programs and you've joined a lot of business programs. I'm curious what you feel like the biggest differentiator between ABI and past ones that you've been a part of.
Well, two things. One being that sense of this sort of really amazing balance of structure and personalization. Like that has existed nowhere that I have experienced at all. And then magic. Magic. It is amazing to me that we'll be sitting there talking about, the structure of our sales page or the structure of a launch. And then we'll be talking about how do we create a sigil to write in, like create some magic around this offering. For me, as a creative, magical being, that was everything. And again, I really think this is something people don't understand necessarily about creativity or about magic, is like there is structure underneath. Like, so that's the magic, is having deep roots and then having this amazing energy coming to life. Like that's what we're doing. We're calling in our people. We're calling in our vision. And then we're transfer that magician card, right? One hand up, one hand down. We're calling in, it's passing through us, and then we're offering it to the world. And for me, that was just so important a part of what was different about ABI.
So good. And then what do you feel like the biggest shifts have been with yourself, with your business in these last months together?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that I have done. Like there's really tangible, practical things. Like I said, I had my best month ever. Last year, I had my best year ever. I brought the just right people, the just right amount of people into my program. I also have done some things that have been on my list for like forever. I relaunched my podcast, which had been on hiatus for 4 years. And on the first day of ABI, I said, I'm going to do this. And it is done. It is out there. It is in the world. I have always resisted hiring an assistant, and I have hired an assistant. She started this week. So there are these really practical, tangible things. And then on a sort of spiritual, personal, energetic level, my commitment throughout to honor my own choices, to trust my own vision. Like, of course, to be aware of what's smart, what's legal, what's, what's standard, what's, like there's certain responsibilities you have, like there's earthly material things you work with. Like, I just think of them as given circumstances. You have to work with them. But also, I can trust, like when my inner voice says, this is the next step, I can do that, or the idea that I get to include me in the plans. So when I'm designing it, I'm not just thinking about what does the work need and what do my people need. I'm also thinking like, what does Jamie need as a human being in this equation? What does she need? And that, again, that changes. I can't believe how many times I've said that changed everything, and everything's entirely different because so really practical, tangible things. And then really this massive sense of self-trust has come out of ABI. And I think that's so exciting to me that we can be in a group, that we can be hearing each other, and that instead of feeling like we all get sucked into one way of doing things, instead we get empowered to do it our own way. And that's exciting to me. Like it's been so exciting to see how everybody is doing that, what they're bringing into the world, the choices they're making. So those are the really, really big things for me.
Thank you for saying that. I really like, I mean, that's why the podcast is called Business is a Magical Practice. And like, as someone who like, we're both extremely creative people, and like creating is an important value of ours. And like my business, that's why it's like my business is a work of art. My marketing is a masterpiece, is all of these things, because that level of creation is this devotional thing for me that if I didn't have a business, I would be creating in other ways. But business is this beautiful playground that we get to know ourselves better, get to channel our greatest gifts, get to become more powerful magicians. And like, why would you follow someone else's formula when you could do it this way?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So I remember at the beginning of the program, because one of the things that you get right off the bat is a meditation for calling in your abundance and your unique path towards abundance. And I remember hearing about you shared that you've never felt more at peace in your life after doing the 21 days of that. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I'm a highly sensitive person. So like my nervous system is often on fire. And so I was so committed to that visualization. Like you said, listen to this for 21 days. I'm like, I'm listening for it to 21 days. I listen to it before bed. I listen to it in the morning, and it's substantial. It's not like a 5-minute thing. It's like,
kind of long.
it's like long, but I'll tell you, it was like my whole nervous system was realigning. It was like somehow it was sending a signal to my body that it was okay to relax and to trust that things are happening and all is well. Like it really shifted my body. And especially like we went through this, still in COVID, still like, and so like there's just this underlying tension in life. And it really did bring me such great peace and ease. And it introduced me to the idea of thinking about life through different timelines. Well, this does sort of tie to all the science fiction movies and stories I know about alternate universes. So that made it easier for me to understand. And I felt like when I came to, like at the beginning of ABI, I felt like I was on one timeline, a timeline that was headed towards breaking or getting smaller. And then I feel like now I'm on an entirely different timeline towards expansion and greater impact. And like, it's just like this, like, so Jupiter, right? Like just really in a beautiful, easeful way. And even now, like I think about it, when I feel something pull me back to the way I always did things, I'm like, hold on a second. If you make that choice, which timeline, I literally think like, which timeline is that taking you down? And I keep choosing this timeline. And so, yeah, that was a really impactful gift. And I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When reading your share around it after the fact, I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. Because there is like, as you, at least I have found in my business, as I've been growing my business, that when we actually tend to our nervous system and we build out the systems in our business to support us, like life becomes more and more beautiful, more and more easeful. And that doesn't, I for sure, if I look back even 3 years, I was like, there was a part of me that thought my business was going to run me to the ground, or I was going to have to like take a sabbatical or go and live in a yurt in the forest. Like these were like real
I
fantasies
feel
of
you.
mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to go live in a cave in the forest and just meditate all the time or something, because I was that burnt out. When instead, like when you talked to the beginning of this, like the importance of energetic management, especially like, I think everyone needs it, but especially as highly sensitive people, like it is so real. If you start committing to that daily practice, how much more you can receive. And it's so much less about doing, because you're actually you're supporting yourself, because you do need to support yourself first and choose yourself first, or else you're never going to allow your business or other people to support you.
You know, it's funny that the more we talk, it's like I feel like I'm reaching over and like grabbing this thought from ABI, or like this strategy from ABI, or this, because when you said that, one of the things that made me think about was like externalized energies, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I've really learned about is being more separate from my business, because that's hard for me, because it's like it's my passion. So, but so I've been working really hard on creating systems so that that can live on its own. I don't have to hold it in here. But the other major piece of that for me, I was just really thinking about today, is I think literally my whole timeline is about intellectual property. Like it literally is about my job as a creative magician on this world is to listen and hear and let that channel through me, and to create a something that can then go out in the world, whether it's a book or a class or a workbook or a podcast, and it can go out there and make a difference and make a change. And then I can retreat into a cave for a little while, and build my energy up again. And then I can do it again and again. And I mean, that, even just the concept of that, also, it just relieves me of the pressure of feeling like I have to be everywhere all the time or doing everything all the time. Instead, I can have like, of course, I'm just like a little magical being that I'm like that goes out into the world and starts doing that work. And I really, for me, that's a legacy piece too, because my mission of helping people awaken their creativity is far bigger than me, and it includes far more than I could do if I worked every hour of every day for the rest of my life. And I've learned to take that as a good thing, that means it is big and beautiful and powerful and meant to be shared and meant to be expanded. And when I can understand that doesn't mean I have to hold it all, then I can feel like, oh, then I can do it. Then I can.
Mm-hmm. You know, this is reminding me of one of your recent breakthroughs within the program, or when around hiring, because you went through our hiring process to call in the perfect person, and you were going through and being like, how do I find the right person to support me? And there was just like this little click of like, oh wait, I'm actually finding the person to support my business. Because if you are like channeling and then like going into a cave and like that's what you feel like your natural rhythm is, like beautiful, but you can't actually have someone following you into that cave. You want someone outside the cave tending to your business, right?
Oh my gosh, that felt like such a maturing too. Do you know, like being at the stage where I can understand actually there are people in my life who are waiting for me to come hang out with them, and they are very available to love me up and look out for me. And so what actually needs loving up and taking care of outside of me is the business. And yeah, that was massive. That was just so clear to me. I don't need someone to take care of me. It also made me feel, it empowered me because it made me feel, it let go of the feeling like somehow I'm incapable. You
Mm.
know, I actually am incredibly capable, but I've reached a point of this is all I can hold. And so instead of feeling there's something broke about me that needs to be taken care of, that's not true at all. So get the
Mhm.
right, pay attention to what the correct problem is, and get that taken care of, and things are going to get better for everybody.
You're tending to a bigger fire. You need some help tending
Yes.
to the fire.
Yes. Yes.
So, how did you find the group calls and the overall vibe of the program?
So intimate. I mean, I this was also one of the rare and precious gifts about the alchemical business intensive too, was that it's a small group of very like-minded people. Like it's one of the few places I've been where if somebody brings up how they're checking their astrology to plan their launch, it's just completely normal, you know, and I really appreciated that. And of course, you learn from everybody. So, you know, whenever somebody's working through something or celebrating something, you're always learning something that you can take away for your business. Lots, and I love that we were like all the same in the sense of we all believed in that magical thing. We all had all mission driven people, you know, people with big vision. That's also another thing. Sometimes when you are a person with big vision, it is hard to be in a space like I think we're often shamed about having big vision, or criticized or asked to prove, or but everybody was somebody with big vision. So again, we just took that in stride, and that normalizing of that is, I think that also settled. I think about how many of these things sort of settled my nervous system because I could just be who I was. Like I could just be me, and that's tremendous.
And how powerful is that for just women in general to be like, no, it's actually safe for you to dream big and want what you want and like desire more. Like, that makes me sad.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
um, so I would love to hear what, because a big underlying current behind the program is you becoming the visionary CEO. And I'd love to hear how you define the visionary CEO because it's supposed to be different for everyone. And then how was that transformation throughout the program for you?
Even when you say it, I see that it's in fact what I've been talking about this whole time. Because for me, a visionary CEO is somebody who has a mission, has a vision that they want to bring to life. And by necessity, like by definition, them being visionary means not everyone's going to get it. And the path has not been trodden upon. And so that means you need to be a person who can find their inner strength, who can go it alone when they need to, who can find allies that can, you know, buoy them up when the days are hard, because that's powerful work to do. And I think it asks something from us to show up for it. And you know, you just mentioned like how powerful for women, and I think that's particularly true. Like so many of the women in my community are recovering good girls. You know, like we're like A students, and we're quiet and good, and we follow the rules, and so to break out of that and to be able to say, hey, I think this is amazing. I believe in it and I'm going to work towards it. Come on this journey with me and be a part of it. That's world changing. That's not a small thing. This is a huge thing. You're changing the paradigm for people. And to be able to say, you know, when you were saying about how it can be hard to claim that identity, but I was talking to somebody recently, and about them wanting to do something. I'm like, So many people are waiting for one person to take the lead. They're just waiting. It's like that first person who goes on the dance floor. Everybody's aching. Like they're just like, oh, but I can't be the first. I can't be out there on my own. And then that first person who goes out there, they open the door to everybody. And it's such a gift. So if you can be that person, I think that's a visionary CEO.
I love that so much. I mean, you're already doing that. You're already the first, weren't you?
Like I do feel like this is my purpose. Like I feel very on purpose, and I'm not afraid to step up, and I'm not afraid to be I'm never afraid to be the first person on the dance floor. Like that's just not true. But what I have been afraid of is it too big for me? Like, can I hold it? I've been afraid of that. And I've been afraid of being allowed, you alluded to this, being allowed to want what you want, right? So to be on mission without being a martyr, right? Like to not sacrifice yourself and end up broken. And we, again, as women especially, we learn this is noble, right? Like that's what you do. And then you're a good person because you kept working and you sacrificed everything. And I want to be a good person and thrive. I want to be a good person and thrive so I can keep giving. I don't anticipate, Sam, that I will ever retire. I anticipate that I will be teaching classes and mentoring people when I'm 87 years old. And I want to do that with energy and love and passion and vision. And if I'm going to do that, then that has to be a part of my thinking. So there were hard things for me, but stepping on the dance floor wasn't one of them.
Well, and so you brought up earlier legacy and also now martyrdom, and because we can absolutely build a legacy hot and fast, and like I don't know, people die young but have a long legacy. Where like a huge part of ABI is connecting with your lifelong vision and relationship with your business, and like whether that's 10 years, 20 years, like for me, I'm like, it's going to be at least 40 more years. And how freeing that is of like, there is no fucking rush. It's not about like, I'm trying to get to $1 million next year. It's like, I'm trying to build this beautiful legacy over the next 40 years.
Yes.
And like, can you imagine your 87-year-old self looking back to this year and being like, oh my God, I remember when I hired my first assistant. Like, oh, I love doing that. I like love having current, like present day nostalgia from my future self. I do that all the fucking time.
I love that so much. Oh yeah. And it's interesting because I think when you know you're in it for a lifetime, like it's very different. And honestly, though, you helped me slow down around that. Because I do think, and I have a lot of clients who are like this. I work with a lot of people too. We get scared, we get scared we're not going to fulfill our mission. We get scared. We don't know how long we're going to be here. And we have like these big goals. And what if I can't get it done? So I better get it done. And like, we just get into this like, and it's taken me a long time to understand what you lose when you're in that rush and you miss your life. You don't make sure you complete things in your life, you miss your life. And so the idea that, we would come and say, like, for the next period of time, what are the 3 things you want to achieve? And I'd be like, okay, not 30, 3. And again, that has sort of this trust in the future. So, it was self-trust for me to trust my own vision. But then that sort of self-trust, the trust that I could work on things a bit at a time, and that I just keep thinking of roots, like it just would make my roots strong. And they're not going to be fast, and that is okay. I'm not used to that, but I am starting to enjoy it.
Yes. And that there's so much power in building that foundation, because the metaphor I love using is when you're building a skyscraper, 90% of the work or 90% of the effort and time actually goes into building the foundation. And like once that foundation is built, the time it takes to the visible thing, when everyone like looks around, they're like, wow, how quickly that skyscraper went up, because that was all the visible work. Like, man, because it takes only 10% of the entire energy of building a skyscraper, because all of it's underground. So you
Right.
saying like, and it's like okay to go slow and encouragement to go slow. It's like, yes, so that you can go fast or not,
Yes.
but like it actually will allow you to go fast, because you're building, that's the power of like building these systems and learning how to bring people onto the team and building a company culture within your team. Like that's going to allow you to grow so fast, so much
Yes.
faster, and at the same time enjoying your life, at the same time having a safety in your nervous system. Like, and I mean, what value is that? It's
Yeah.
priceless.
And when you give that example, it's also priceless, because I look at it and I go, I can tell you, I don't want them to rush those foundations. Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I see the point of this. Like, take your time, do it right. Like, absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on here, Jamie. Do you have any final messages for people or things that you would want to say to people who are thinking about joining right now?
I would say that, especially if you hear that call of the visionary CEO, you have something that wants to come to life through you. You might not even fully understand what it is, or you might be really having all the same fears that I had. Then give yourself the gift of the Alchemical Business Intensive. I got stymied there because I was like, there's so many pieces of it I want to say to you. I want to say, give yourself the gift of support, of a community that is also working on the same things, to just normalize it and to be around people who believe that those kinds of big missions can happen. Give yourself the gift of Sam's support, because Sam is very, like, such a great balance of being sensitive to hearing what you need and being very clear and direct in the feedback she gives or the suggestions she makes. Yeah, Sam, I'm sorry, I'm talking to you as it like I'm talking as if you're not here in the room.
No, talk
And
to them. That's
also,
fine.
this is the most, like, Sam is also phenomenally generous. Like, I can't believe, like, when I was hiring, I said, it was like, oh, Sam, do you have some things that would help me with? Boom, they were there. And that just gave me a starting point. And so, like, pulling on my mission and combining it with ABI, I would say the world needs your gifts. The world needs your mission to come to life. It is worth investing in. It is worth committing to. And this is a great container if you have felt that the things that are out there talking about business and entrepreneurship are too staid or too defined or too rigid, but you still want the real deal. You want facts, you want practicalities, you want structures, but you also want to follow your own path. This is a great place to come for exactly that.
Thank you, Jamie. And it's been interesting this round with the people who are coming in, and like Jamie's coming back. She just is enrolling in another round of ABI because she wants that continued support. But for the people who are coming in, there's so much that I've been leaning into in terms of the magical realm, and then our like somatic, otherworldly, between worlds. And it's been interesting during this launch of people coming being like, I'm compelled to apply, I don't even know why, and like now I'm trying to rationalize it and I can't, like I'm trying to get my brain on board, my mind on board, and that's like exactly what I want to hear, because
Yes.
the right people are being called, and this is so much bigger than what your mind could rationalize.
Oh, yeah. And so trust that, right? Trust that instinct. Since we started, I've been, my magical practices are strong. Like, every morning I'm having conversations with the spirit of my business. Every morning I'm having conversations with, like, I have worked with a different planet each season, and it has really strengthened my vision in a deep way. And it's nourished me, because this is the way I think. Like, this is the way I move through the world. So I'm so excited to hear that people are hearing like that magical call and answering. And I'm looking forward to sharing the circle with them already.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Wherever you're listening to this video, whether it's on the podcast or YouTube or on the sales page, like the Alchemical Business Intensive is open now. Go click apply. The application takes like 15 minutes and then you'll be invited to a call with me. And I can't wait to connect with you. And I will be honest whether it's a good fit for you right now. And I'll be honest of whether I think this will help you or not. I can't wait to connect. And Jamie can't wait to meet you too.
Yes.